You ever sit in a room full of people that you love and you still feel emotionally absent? It's like you're physically there, you're listening, you're responding, you're doing everything you're supposed to do. And internally, it feels like something in you went quiet a long time ago. Not sadness, not anger, just nothing. And in this video, I want to talk about why so many men today don't feel emotionally alive anymore. Even when they're still functioning as husbands, fathers, providers, workers, leaders, and a strong one for everybody else. Because a lot of men are falling apart publicly. They're functioning perfectly while emotionally disappearing privately. And I had moments in my life where I would sit in my car after work like I'm doing now and just stay there. Not because I didn't want to go inside, not because I didn't love my family. I just needed one more minute before becoming everything everybody needed me to be again. And the crazy part is, from the outside, nothing looked wrong. I was handling my responsibilities. I'm working, I'm providing, and I'm showing up. But internally, it felt like the volume got turned down on my life. Like I was present physically, but emotionally somewhere far away. And maybe you know exactly what I mean. Maybe you have moments where you're laughing, you're with people, not really feeling the moment. You're watching your kids play, but feeling like there's a glass between you and the joy. You listen to music that you used to move to, that move your soul, and now it just sounds like noise in the background, and you start quietly asking yourself, what happened to me? And here's what a lot of people don't understand about men. Most men don't collapse dramatically. They don't always cry publicly. They don't always have what we call emotional breakdowns. And a lot of men just slowly shut down emotionally. They keep functioning. They keep working. They keep paying the bills. They keep showing up. But internally, something starts going offline because men are often taught very early in life, be strong, man up, don't be emotional. A real man handles it. So over time, a man learns how to suppress what he feels in order to survive what he carries. And at first, that survival mode feels productive and it keeps him moving. It keeps him grinding. It keeps him providing. But eventually that emotional suppression really start costing him something, because here's the truth nobody told us. You cannot selectively numb emotions. You can't turn down pain without also turning down joy. You can't shut down off sadness without also affecting passion, love, peace, excitement, presence. It's like trying to install a dimmer switch on pain and accidentally lowering the brightness on your entire life. A lot of men become emotionally numb because they become the strong one for too long, the dependable one, the reasonable one, the provider. He's the fixer, the man that everybody leans on. And hear me clearly on this. There's nothing wrong with responsibility. A man taking care of his family is honorable. But somewhere along the way, many men have stopped being human and start becoming functional. you become needed everywhere, but emotionally known nowhere. And after years of carrying the pressure silently, your nervous system adapts. Not because you're weak, because you're overloaded. A lot of men today are living in what psychiatrists would call a functional freeze, meaning your body never feels relaxed anymore. You're constantly thinking, you're constantly carrying the weight, you're constantly preparing for the next responsibility. So your system starts conserving emotional energy just to survive. That's why so many men say things like, I don't feel anything anymore. I'm just tired all the time. I feel emotionally flat. I feel disconnected from myself. Not because they're lazy, not because they're broken, because they've been surviving emotionally for years and years. And this is where a lot of men start to get confused, because functioning is not the same thing as feeling alive. A man can go to work, he can pay the bills, he can handle responsibilities, and he can provide for his family and still feel emotionally absent inside his own life. That's why so many men secretly sit at night thinking, man, my life looks good on paper, so why do I feel nothing? And honestly, that's one of the loneliest feelings in the world. Because now guilt enters the picture. You start thinking, I should be grateful. I mean, other people have it worse off. Why can't I enjoy my life? So instead of you talking about it, you suppress it even deeper. And eventually you become so used to functioning emotionally numb, that numbness starts feeling normal. And that's a scary part. Not the pain, but the adaptation. Because emotional numbness doesn't just disconnect a man from pain. It disconnects him from himself, from joy, from presence, from connection, from wonder, from peace. Sometimes even from God. And maybe the deepest part of all of this is that many men don't even realize how disconnected they become until quiet moments expose it. Like sitting in the driveway after work, laying awake at 2 a.m., standing in the kitchen holding the coffee before everybody wakes up. And this quiet thought hits. I miss myself. Not the younger version necessarily, not the irresponsible version, just the version of you that used to actually feel alive. The version of you that laughed deeply. The version of you that dreamed deeply. The version of you that felt deeply. And maybe that's why this conversation matters, because a lot of men today are not emotionally numb because they're weak. They're emotionally numb because they've adapted to survive a life that never taught them how to carry pressure without disconnecting from themselves in the process. And maybe for some men watching this, the first step isn't fixing everything overnight. Maybe the first step is simply recognizing it, being aware of it. This is what been happening to me, and finally realizing you're not crazy. Bro, you're not broken. You're definitely not alone.